Musicians Museum mission is to advance the quality of life in our communities across all cultures, generations, and tastes through preserving, advancing, and utilizing incredibly rich and diverse regional musical heritage and resources. We strive to help young people from all walks of life, cultures, and musical interests reach their potential and improve both their lives and the richness of life in our community through music. We achieve this through two paths: the operation of a free public museum, which each year honors influential inductees who have helped shape our musical heritage, as well as showcasing art and musical artifacts. Support and building the nonprofit mission of the museum. The Community Youth Outreach Program is a multifaceted program providing mentorship access to performance venues and education programs geared to teach young musicians the elements needed to succeed as a musician. Through charitable donations, the museum can help underprivileged young musicians obtain instruments they may not otherwise be able to afford, access instructions, mentorship, and performance opportunities.
Hi, and welcome to our sixth edition of Tucson Musicians Museum TV. Look for us the first Thursday of every month and follow us online and on Facebook. I'm Ed Alexander. Tucson Musician TV is produced by George Howard and edited and mixed by Mark Jordan. Our July show features a man who's been making music in bands and helping bands make music in Southern Arizona for decades. Our second guest is a musician. He's got a recording studio, even a venue, and he can bring the whole party to you. And we'll meet a man who's been playing on over 30 albums, owns a local record store where you can still buy what it says on that sign behind me, vinyl. We came on with music from our first guest, a TMM 2009 inductee. I played in a rock band with in high school. My gosh, John Markovich, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, Ed. It's good to see you.
We're still at it.
Yeah, hard to believe.
And still doing a great job. You've been playing in rock and roll bands around the Southwest, around the country, did show bands and all that stuff all your adult years. Pandemic aside, how do you think live music has changed and evolved since the heydays when we were doing it, when there was live music everywhere in the 60s, 70s, and 80s?
Well, yeah, it's funny. I have a lot of younger kids, and I'm kind of younger players, and I'm kind of a mentor to a lot of them. And I tell them, hey, just on Speedway, there were 6 bands playing 6 nights a week just on Speedway. That doesn't include all the country bands, and there were I don't know how many. There's no work for any of these guys. 10, 12 years ago, I calculated out that I've been paid to play more than 4,000 times. They'll never get those kind of at-bats. They couldn't be in a touring band and play that many nights.
Right.
You just don't learn how to play,
How to do a show,
not like that.
Yeah. Maybe that's why the kids are just doing it in their rooms now with all the electronics and stuff like that. They don't have to go out and play.
I think the other thing too is what they see on TV now. It's all solo singers.
Right.
If there's a band, they're in the dark behind them, and there's 4 or 5 girls dancing in front of them. And, get a close-up of the bass player, not in your lifetime anymore.
Sore spot here. Okay. So, look, when you're not on stage...
I know what I am. I have never tried to be the star of my shows, although I'm the musical director in every band that I'm in.
Really?
I'm not the talent. I surround myself with talent, you know. I want people that are better.
And you keep the bottom. You keep it together. You and the drummer keep it together. So when you're not playing live, you're still in the arena, right?
Say that most of people that see this have been to see me or paid me at least once. If they play music, they're going to find me eventually. Their amp is going to break, or they're going to need direction from where to go for something if I can't provide it. But, I've been kind of a country doctor here for 50 years. I'm in Nashville. I can't find anybody to fix my amp. What, are you kidding?
Right.
But those
John, how do you make a living doing that in Tucson?
Well, I did it in Tucson for only one reason. I was the only guy. It would have never supported two people. But I captured the market. I had all the music stores. I picked up and delivered. I made it very easy. I was very professional about it, fair, honest. And thank God I got to 66 and a half, still making. I mean, I've got clients that do still work and everything. And until somebody good moves into town, I'll go work for them 2 days a week. But until then, I'm over there every afternoon.
How can they find you?
Well, they just Google John Markovich show or call any music store or whatever. My office number is 520-327-8570. It's been the same number since 1979.
There you go. So could you maybe just share one maybe strange request or a star story of somebody you worked for or worked with?
Well, I don't know if you know, I was thinking about this before we did this today, guys. He's going to ask me who I know or who I don't know, but somebody from our era, Mark Lindsay, lived in Tucson for a while. I don't know if you ever met him when he was here.
Paul Revere and the Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And man, you could sit and listen to his stories all day long. And interestingly enough, I did the same thing one night in Las Vegas with Paul Revere. I met him via another guy who actually I'm nominating right now for Tucson Musician Hall of Fame, Tony Kishman.
Oh yeah.
He played in the 70s here, and he's the consummate Beatle impersonator.
Yes, he is. He is. He's got the show. Yes.
I don't think anybody even knows him or remembers him anymore from locally, but
he's playing again. I think he's got a date next year already. I see it at the Fox.
I think they're going to be at the Fox. He
Yep.
usually plays at the Fox or the casino. He does that symphony orchestra show. That's killer. I mean, it's as good as it gets.
He's known around the world.
He's been all over.
Yeah.
He did Beatlemania, the real Beatlemania show, the first time in London. He opened the show in London. Can you imagine that pressure?
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
But anyway,
good point. Good stuff.
But he played after you. He was in one of my first real professional bands. We toured and did all that. He later played in Wishbone Ash also for a while.
I'll have to look that up on my albums. Okay.
Give him a plug. He should be in.
And maybe someday you'll let me come and sing with you on stage sometime.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm up at House of Bards. My nightclub band's called Time Frame, and we play early on Wednesdays. We start about 7:15. We're having adult cocktails before 10. So it's in that window. We play and practice and have a good time. It's no pressure, and we have a lot of guests come in. A lot of players come in and play with us once in a while.
That's fun. We'll pick an oldies. We'll put a goodie.
Born to be Wild or something.
Yeah. Get your motor. John Markovich, thank you so much for all you do. Keep it up, and we'll see you at House of Bards or someplace else. And check you out on Facebook. And we've got the number down there to take care of all your musical gear. Coming up next, the guy who played in bands, owns a music venue, and once gave the Tucson Musicians Museum a home.
Asked my baby what she wanted tonight. She said, How about dinner by candlelight? Night is long and we've had enough. All I want is your love.
Next up on Tucson Musicians Museum TV for July 21, a South Point grad who's been playing guitar in rock bands since he was 14, opened for major acts at every very tender age, and has been playing, recording, and producing music events ever since. Meet TMM 2010 inductee Tom Kusian. Hello there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. So you own Tucson Party Rentals.
Correct.
Which is next to your repurposed 17th Street Market, just down the street from the 17th Recording Studio.
Right.
How did all that come about?
Well, we started the 17th Street Market 20 years ago and had a really nice run, and decided to actually close it in 2012. And then just kind of by a happenstance or an accident, we started Site 17 Event Center in the same space, which has been doing quite well as of recent. Of course, when COVID hit, we had to shut it down, but it's been great. And opened a studio with my friend Jim Stanley, probably 4 or 5 years ago.
That's right. Is that so? What's behind you? Is it the venue or the studio?
This is the new small venue. This is home of the 17th Street Music Club.
Yes,
which can accommodate up to like 50 people as far as the audience.
Excellent.
It's really conducive to acoustic bass performances. So hopefully we'll get that up and rolling again soon.
And you've got a little thing about the Wood Songs Coffee House. How's that?
That we just had a meeting in fact yesterday in regard to that. Doug Bowers is that's his baby, and so that he plans on having 1 to 2 performances a month in this venue here. That's why I thought I'd put it in the background just for.
I love it. And at one time, you host the Tucson Musicians Museum, did you not?
Correct. We still have the photos up right next door. So yeah, that's still a part of our little operation down here.
That is so cool. Oh, cool. So what advice can you give younger musicians who want to learn how to make music and maybe even a couple of dollars doing it these days?
You know, that's an interesting question. I was reminiscing just a couple of days ago. I was looking up a friend of mine that helped me start my first band. I guess I was like 12 years old. His name was Rick Cohen.
Okay.
And sadly, I learned he passed away recently, last year. But my mom would drop me off at his house, and I had my little Fender Deluxe reverb amplifier and my Fender Duo Sonic guitar.
Ooh.
And we started a band together.
What color was that guitar?
It was white.
Okay.
It was really a cool little guitar.
Yeah.
Loved it. So that was kind of the start. And, prior to that, I was self-taught. Learned, actually, I was inspired by my next door neighbor that lived across the street. He came back from a vacation with a ukulele.
Really?
So he taught me a few chords on the ukulele, and that was really the start of it for me. I just fell in love with ukuleles, and then I graduated to a guitar, which he gave me a hand-me-down guitar. I believe it was a Silvertone.
Right.
Silvertone or Stellit. So at any rate, I learned to play, I guess I was 12 years old, and then I actually joined my first band when I was 14. And in the short period between 12 and 14, we started doing gigs around town. And one of my favorites was when we would play at the Monterey Ice Rink.
All right.
They converted it into a venue. And
it's on Speedway.
Yes.
Okay.
We had a manager. His name was Tom Wright. He was from KTKT.
Tommy Wright, yes.
I don't know if you knew him or not, Ed, but
we kind of crossed paths, but I didn't work with him. But yes,
he got us a lot of gigs, and we would kind of tag along with the Intruders, which that band eventually became the Dearly Beloved. And one of the concerts we actually opened up for were the Hollies and the Spiders
Love it.
at the Monterey Ice Rink. Yeah, it was a great era for music.
So I remember I saw Jimi Hendrix there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we knew he was great. We'd never seen him. And so I'm like, 3 rows back, we're all standing up and we're all 15 years old. Like, what's going on? And then he puts his guitar on fire and we all just freaked out. It was like, oh my gosh, that was it. I mean, we were hooked.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Yeah. Seen a lot of bands at that place.
And then also there was it's still there, I believe, a hotel by the freeway in St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, I can't think of the name of
Yep.
it. But we, again, tagged along with the Dearly Beloved and opened up for the Mamas and Papas and Jan and Dean I forget which one got in the car accident. We got to go backstage and visit with all of them. It was really, it was quite an experience.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
What a great life. And you've been hooked ever since.
I've been hooked ever since.
So maybe we got a place for kids to play again. I'll have to, Musicians Museum might have to help you work on that and get the word out a little bit.
Yeah, that would be great. We want to do workshops for kids. We have quite a few plans as far as developing the club concept.
So how would someone find all that information?
We have a website. It's 17streetmusicclub.com.
Right.
And it's
join in.
It's $25 for a lifetime membership.
Keeping the music alive. Just wonderful. Anything you want to say to the kids out there?
I highly encourage kids to play. I mean, I had so much fun growing up.
And just don't play for yourself in your room. You have to go out. You have to practice, but then you got to go out.
Yeah, it's fun to interact. It really is.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of the experience.
Absolutely. That's why we play it, and for all the fun out there. Tom Kusian, you are the man. Thank you for all you've done for Tucson music.
I appreciate that.
And the Tucson Musicians Museum. This is from one of your albums that you did, Harvey Brooks with the 17th Street Band. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Children aside, they looked up at me, eyes open wide. I focused on 6, but there were 3. I have some wisdom to impart to thee. Stick to the reef, but don't you mess with no horse. Don't be messing around with no 2 big gals. Don't be trifling around with no lying man. They do it to you once, they're gonna do it again. A man talk too fast, he's a con or a dick. Stay away from my whiskey, you son of a bitch. They began to fidget, but I couldn't think why. But I knew I had them, so I made them cry. Grandpa's wisdom is ABC. Just don't tell your mother and the candy's free. Stick to the reef, but don't you mess with no horse. Don't be messing around with no 2 big gals. Don't be dropping around with no lying men. They do it to you once, they're gonna do it again. Man talk too fast, he's a con or a dick. Stay away from my whiskey, you son of a hit.
Remember, Tucson Musicians Museum TV comes out the first Thursday of every month. Coming up on August 5th, we'll spotlight a few of Tucson's very famous Native American musicians and artists, Tony Redhouse and his brother and sister, and Gertie Lopez. I'm going to call her Tucson's multi-award winning queen of Wela music. Well, we're not done today. Next up, here's Rich Hopkins and his wife, Lisa, and the Luminarios from the album Back to the Garden.
Spotlight, lights out in you. Rumble in the distance, did you hear the sounds? Couldn't see it coming with your head buried underground. Some wanted silver, some wanted gold, some wanted to believe all that they were told. Bet it caught you by surprise, yeah, this has never happened before. If you see the darkness, feel it in the air. Don't turn a blind eye, ignoring that it's there. Some want the silver, some want the gold, some want to learn to let it all unfold. Bet it caught you by surprise, yeah, this has never happened before. Now I sit and wonder why, yeah, this has never happened before. So go on, say goodbye to the world that you know. This has never happened before. Yeah, go on, say goodbye to all you adore. This has never happened before.
Let's welcome Tucson Musicians Museum 2013 inductee, Rich Hopkins. Richard, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, Ed. Thank you.
Now, Rich is in Austin, Texas, as we speak. That's a great place for music. You, sir, have recorded over 20 albums. You played with the Sidewinders and the San Rubies back in the day. We talked to Dave Slutz and Bruce Halper and Hal Gelb in May. You guys did a couple of albums on RCA and then Chrysalis Records, also the home of Pat Benatar, Rory Gallagher, Huey Lewis, Billy Idol, heady people like that, right? Pretty good way to start your career. Can you give us a taste of how it was back then in the LA scene and you guys just starting and all that?
Well, it was pretty exciting. We first went out there in the late 80s to mix our first album that we recorded in Tucson and at a place called the Sound Factory with Steve English. Absolutely. But we kind of wanted that little extra pizzazz, so we went out to LA and had it mixed there. And eventually we started, getting outside of Tucson and Phoenix, and we went out to Austin in '88 as well to play our first time out here in Texas. And then we started going out to LA. And when we did finally get signed to Mammoth Records out of North Carolina, they got us hooked up with RCA. And then we started coming back to LA a little more to play bigger showcases and to record a lot more out in LA. That was like about 89 and 90 and 91. And so it was a lot of fun, believe me, just getting out and exploring and seeing the rest of the world.
Well, you've always been a singer. Go ahead.
But we were always sleeping on the floor. So it wasn't like, even when we were on a major label, it was still not like we were living in the lap of luxury yet.
So you've always been a singer, songwriter, and performer. Now you and your wife, Lisa Novak, is she there with you?
Yeah, Lisa.
Tell her hi.
Lisa, hi. Ed says hi.
Tucson says hi. The two of you have had a band called Luminarios for quite a while.
Okay, I met Lisa about 16 years ago, and yes, she's my wife.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, but we are partners and write the music together in various ways. Sometimes she'll write more of the song or I'll do the same, but it all kind of comes out a mix between us both. But yeah, I have kind of a set band in Tucson with Ernie Mendoza, Dwayne Hollis, and Damon Barnaby, but we play with whoever we can sometimes. Like out here in Texas, we'll just play with a bunch of different people. And so we're pretty open-minded, but I do have my set group in Tucson. I've been on a record label in Germany called Blue Rose Records since 1995, and I've done about 30 tours over there.
Wow. Do you ever run into Jonathan L.?
You know what? I'm glad you brought him up. No, I've never seen him in Germany, but I have been talking to him a little bit because I just finished a Tucson compilation project that's coming out in the end of September. It's a 3 LP and a book compilation of Tucson music called The Whole Enchilada, The History of Desert Rock from 1978 to 94. And I asked John Rosen to write a little segment in the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an undertaking that is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's been huge.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of help. All the musicians were helpful. And I have an editor who helped me put it together, and a great graphic design artist. So I didn't do it alone.
You are amazing. Can't wait for that. Well, let's talk again sometime soon. But before we could talk all day. You got a record store. You got your own record store. You can sell your records in your own record store. We can come in and talk to you. We can talk records. I got my vinyl book for Father's Day back here. Tell us a little about Hurricane Records.
Well, about 3 years ago, it's actually been 3.5 years ago.
Time flies.
I opened up the store, and It was just something I always really had in the back of my mind. I've always been a record collector. Not huge, but I love albums. And it was just like a good time to start it. And I just kind of went for it. I love selling vinyl to people. A kid that grew up on the 60s and I love the 70s. And I grew up playing music in the 80s and 90s. So it's the music's all over the place.
And that's all at Hurricane Records, and you're on 4th Avenue, that cool house, right?
Yeah, it's right on 4th and 4th. It's actually 636 North 4th Avenue. And it's a great little house. And it's not too big, but it's just big enough it's real homey. My wife did a lot of work as far as, we painted it, and it's just got a real cozy feel. You got to check it out.
Cool. Nice. I will. I'll bring some of my posters down too. I don't have anything to do with them. So maybe we can have some. Hey, that's it. Thank you to you and Lisa for your time. Like I said, we could do this all day, but we'll have to go, but we'll catch up with you when that compilation comes out. Can't wait to hear about that. It's going to be big.
It's going to be great. And we're going to have a big to-do down at Hotel Congress on October 22nd and 23rd. And so a lot of the bands like the Sidewinders, Hal Gelb, maybe George Hawk, hopefully George Hawk.
Yeah.
And his incarnation.
The Dusty Chaps.
Hopefully. Yeah, they're on the record. And so
excellent.
Bob Minn's on it, Ned Sutton. You can just lots of 30 different bands.
Beautiful. Looking forward to that. I just wrote it down, October 21, 22. Thank you, Rich Hopkins. Thank you much. Have a safe trip back. We'll see you at the store. And that's it for our July edition of Tucson Musicians Museum TV. Look for us on the TNM website, Facebook, and YouTube, and the museum itself right there in the TCC. I'm Ed Alexander. Adios.